Hi guys, welcome to another lecture, video, discussion, whatever you're calling these, in the series where we're trying to understand how to critically approach works of literature. Um, in this one, we're going to continue with the idea of the poet as divinely inspired. Before we begin our discussion, lecture, whatever, I'm going to read out something that's been written about iambic verses, but it fits this really well, especially to understand it on certain levels. Um, Trigger warning in advance, though. Um, For not by art does the poet sing, but by power divine. Had he learned by rules of art, he would have known how to speak not of one theme only, but of all, and therefore God takes away the minds of poets and uses them as his ministers, as he also uses diviners and holy prophets, in order that we who hear them may know them to be speaking not of themselves who utter these priceless words, but that God Himself is the speaker, and that through them He's conversing with us. Because if you look at abstract work, right, a lot of poetry at times is also abstract, the metaphorical poetry. It's really easy to be like, anybody could have done this, anybody could have created this, anybody could have written this. But the thing is that if you see it as human being used as a medium of God to deliver whatever piece of work has been delivered to us, um, whether it's a painting, whether it's a piece of writing, um, anything, if you look at it from the power of a divine, um, and not just the being who's created it, because also that way, firstly, you can create a separation between the creator or the artist, um, or the poet, because here we're talking about the poet as divinely inspired, right? That's the term that's usually used to make better sense um, of things in criticism. But I was saying that if you're able to do that, then you will be able to separate the two, the creation versus the creator. And that separation is so important because once you're able to separate the two things, um, then only, of course, you will be able to look at a piece of work without personal bias, right? You won't be like, oh, this person has created this, they haven't created it 200 times, and that's why, maybe I should not consider this. Or, like, because a lot of times in our modern world, there are CEOs like that. There are people who may have gone abroad to study and stuff like that, and they would say the most things that you do not expect somebody who's educated to utter. Things like, no, but they have created this, and they haven't given 10,000 hours to it, so it's not worth it. Or they've created this concept, but they haven't created a concept 200 times for me to consider it. So demeaning the value of a creation out of your own angst, out of your own sadistic behavior, and that's really common. Not that that's really common, but then of course it spreads, right? Because at the end of the day, who's inspiring the younger ones? The adults. So in that kind of a situation, or in work environment especially, it's the leader who's an adult. But what is the leader inspiring here? The leader is inspiring that negative spirit where, it's like, I couldn't have this, so you can't. Or, like, you need to exhaust yourself, um, so that I can come in as some kind of savior. And that's why I feel that it's really important to understand that it's not it's not the person only creating, although of course when I'm talking about CEOs and anything like that, obviously that's a completely different context. When you're talking about a commercial piece of work, things change a lot. But at the same time, even in commercial value also does not come out with something as simple as no, you need to do it 200 times, or you need to spend 10,000 hours, because that's a lot of sadism coming into place just because you can probably practice it. But I wish, that's the reason why, I started designing these courses, that I wish people had had more access to quality literature. um, but yeah, so hence, if you're able to understand this, and if you're able to understand that every piece of work being created is actually um, a divine power who's using something as a medium to deliver that to you, then you might be able to appreciate it. I'm not saying every time will you accept it, but the reasons for not accepting might change. Obviously, if you want to find a reason to not accept something, you can find any reason ever in the world. But it is important for you to understand that um, do not look at a piece of work as something created by someone, but be able to look at a piece of work as something delivered to you by a divine power. That's what understanding the poet as divinely inspired means. So when you're reading, say something as simple as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you need to understand it's not just Roald Dahl. I'm not saying take away from the power of Roald Dahl, but here to be able to critique it, and to not feel like, what is he talking about? A huge chocolate factory where like boats are floating in chocolate. See the idea as something that perhaps the divine power delivered. And that's how, you might be able to appreciate the fact that somebody came up with an idea like that. I think that's about it for this one. I know like some of this might also seem like repetition, but I feel like this is one of the core ideas or understandings in critical approaches to literature, looking at the poet as divinely inspired. Um, See you guys in another one soon. If you like the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to stay updated for whenever a